Don't worry, honey, we will be back soon. Charlie looked up to his mother. She had walked into his room with her shoes on. High heels. She always complained about wearing these shoes. Charlie didn't understand why she was wearing shoes that made her feet hurt. The same thing goes for his father and ties. He needed 13 tries to tie it right and only talk about how hard it was to breathe with the thing. It was too tight, he said. But otherwise it would be too short and that looked silly. He also said that he didn't want to buy a new one. Why should I spend money on something I only wear once a year? You understand that when you are older. And if I don't spend money on a tie, there will be more money for your toys. He always said things like that to change the topic to something else than the clothes he disliked so much. The suits and dresses. Charlie didn't understand why they wore it in the first place. Every time they put these clothes on, they went somewhere boring, like a restaurant without a play corner. But Mummy. He stood up and knocked over the building he just created with some Lego. You can't go. Toby is broken. Toby was a small CD player that looked like an elephant. He got it last Christmas. From Santa. Toby had told him many stories. But since Monty played with the black cord that comes out of Toby's back and disappears in the wall, he was silent. Monty had cut through the cord with his claws. Charlie was mad at the cat. But when you go, it will be silent. The silence is scary. It's okay, sweetheart, but it won't take long, okay? She went down on her knees to hug him. But what if the Cookie Monster comes from under the bed? Honey, there is no monster. Believe me. And even if the Cookie Monster will come from under the bed, I am sure would be totally friendly. You watched Sesame Street too, right? Yeah. Charlie didn't smile. He knew the Cookie Monster on the TV was nice and harmless. But the monster under his bed wasn't. It was different. It never appeared when his parents were talking downstairs. It was afraid of them and he tricked it into thinking he wasn't alone with his CD player. But now these two things were gone. Toby was silent and his parents would be gone in a few minutes. Hey buddy. His father knocked on the doorframe and walked in. He was holding a black cat in his arm. When you really don't want to be alone, then Monty will stay with you. But Monty hurt Toby. He won't do it again. Just let him stay with you and everything will be fine. Okay? Okay, Daddy. He smiled, but it was a forced smile. His dad liked him, he was just not comfortable. He fumbled with his tie. See you later, buddy. He closed the door. Charlie sat down again and tried to continue playing. Are you sure we can let him alone for so long? The voice of his dad was coming from below. His parents were talking in the living room. He will be fine, Frank. I dislike this as much as you do, but we can't take him to a funeral. It's not a place for a child. Also, he doesn't even know Aunt Helen. How many times did he see her? Once? Maybe twice. It would just make him uncomfortable. You're right. Do you have the car keys? Yeah, I placed them on the kitchen counter. They talked for a few more minutes, but in the end, they left the house. It was silent. Totally silent. Monty just looked at him, walked up to the city he had built and just lied down in front of him. The eyes of the cat were on him the entire time. If he could speak, Monty would say things like pet me or feed me or look at the mouse I caught. But Monty couldn't say these things. He could only say meow. And meow wasn't like talking. He couldn't pretend that he wasn't alone in the house. He couldn't hear his favorite CD to keep him company until he fell asleep. Toby was just sitting there in the corner and stared at him. If he would say pet me, Charlie would do it. But petting the cat that just pushed his city to the side like the selfish furball it was? No. No way. I hope you know that you are blocking the street for the firefighters. Something interrupted him. A noise, like something, was dragged over the floor. Charlie knew what happened. The silence in the room was telling him what was happening. He turned around slowly. A large blue hairy hand had appeared from under his bed. It looked like a knot made out of long fingers with black claws at the end. The hand opened itself. It looked like a small dying creature. Charlie had found dead spiders in the cellar when his mother sent him down to get something. They looked similar, lying on their back, their legs bent like they tried to hold on to something. The hand was completely open. The fingers were thin and long. Blue fur was standing in every direction. On his palm was a cookie. A delicious-looking cookie. It had large chocolate sprinkles on it. The smell of freshly baked cookies filled the room. It was like his mother had baked cookies for him. The hand was completely still. Charlie turned around again. If he couldn't see it, it couldn't hurt him, right? Monty was now sitting next to him. His eyes were fixed on the blue hand. Just ignore it. It can't hurt you when you don't want it to. That's what his dad always told him, and when his dad had said that, it must be true. Just play with your toys and don't look at the monster. Something was moving around behind him. The smell changed. Charlie knew what it was without looking around. A chocolate hazelnut cookie. It changed the cookie. He heard more noises. The hand was getting a bit closer. It pushed an action figure out of the way. Charlie started to hum. Maybe, if he made enough noise, he could scare the monster away. But he didn't know what to hum. He couldn't think about anything. Not with the monster's hand behind him. It sounded more like mumbling. The blue claws started to move around once more. The sweet smell vanished almost completely. Now it was another smell that Charlie didn't really know. And another noise. Squeaking. A loud, painful squeaking noise. Before he realized it, Charlie turned around and looked at the hand. There was a mouse in it. There was a mouse baked into the cookie now. Its tiny feet were stuck in the dough. It was trapped there. The boy crawled backwards to get away from the moving cookie. The mouse was fighting against the dough, but it wasn't strong enough to get free. Charlie stood up and walked slowly towards the door without looking away. He opened the door and wanted to leave but stopped. The cat was still there. Monty was staring at the trapped mouse. The mouse was for him. "Hey, Monty!" Charlie whispered, but the cat ignored him. It made itself ready to jump. The mouse was squeaking louder now. Monty jumped. The cat leapt towards the mouse, but it never landed. The claws of the hand had snapped upwards like a bear trap and impaled the cat. It was just hanging in the air, its limbs were swinging a little before they stopped moving entirely. Blood was dripping down from the feline's body and landed on the blue fur. The hairy arm dragged the hand over the floor and back under the bed. Everything was silent again. Like nothing ever happened. I hope you enjoyed this scary horror story for bedtime. If you enjoyed it and want to hear more, please subscribe to my channel for new scary stories every day. I also appreciate it if you could leave a like and comment below. Thanks for watching, and I'll look forward to scaring you in the next one.